wiped out 3 times on corners.
Yeah.
I mean, squirreling. I mean, I almost went off the side, almost went into a ditch.
This way they can see the bike.
Yeah. Well, Mark stopped up at the corner too. He was right behind me, so.
Yeah, he was there.
So I think he stopped. They shouldn't be that much further behind us. Crazy ride this morning. Spent the first half of the morning before our break pushing it with the guys, you know, just going as fast as we can through the corners and hills, and you know, just seeing what we can do. Obviously, of the 4 of us, I kind of, you know, the leader and one guy were way, you know, ahead of us, you know, not super bad. I mean, never more than probably about 30 seconds ahead, but and then myself and then one of the other guys kind of stayed in the back of them. I would usually get a couple seconds ahead of him, but I think I cornered a little more. But I also almost lost it twice. Came into a couple of really loose corners, and both times the bike just went squirrely. So a couple of pucker factors there. As you can see, even on this corner here, you know, a lot of the corners are just, you know, the concrete and asphalt's all wore off because of the big trucks, and so it's just dirt. You know, sometimes it's rough, other times it's, you know, not so bad, but it's still just loose. So, and even with the knobby tires on these bikes, it's just, I don't know, still don't fully trust it. course, some of the worst ones is when it's just loose stuff on top of the actual asphalt, because that sometimes is worse. You get that a lot of the areas where there's been like a landslide and they just haven't, it hasn't worn off yet. So, and then of course, then you got the other issue where sometimes the better path is the inside path. Excuse me. But, obviously you're on a curve, and so you're like, okay, do I take the easy, smooth path that I can keep speed, or do I, not, because there could be a car around the corner. And I've come around a corner and had a couple close calls, so. Thankfully, most of the cars around here drive really slow because they ain't got the power to go up and down these hills anyway. And half the scooters are going pretty slow because they're usually got more people than they were designed to hold on them. Damn, dusty. But yeah, after the break, I decided to just kind of join the middle pack and, take it easy. Cow. It's universal law. When you see a cow on the road, you have to say cow. Cows. So we stopped for lunch at this area. It's got a Buddhist shrine on it, and there's some caves back in the hills where the local Laotian villagers hid from the carpet bombing that the U.S. was doing over Laos in the late 60s. And the cave is mostly now revered as a holy spot because of a U.S. fighter that fired a missile into the cave, exploding and killing over 300 villagers. So, and you know, wrecking the cave pretty good too. But so they hold a festival here every year on November 24th, celebrating the 1968 tragedy. Quite a hike to get up to there, though. Oh my God! I don't know if you can see these stairs, and I'm almost to the bottom. So yeah. And of course hot and humid. But interesting. The cave goes back quite a ways. Unfortunately, we didn't have any proper lights or time to really explore it. Assuming it's even allowed, means it is technically, I guess you could say, a gravesite, I guess. But although I'm sure most of the remains were pulled out and properly buried. But fun day. Crazy ride. Long time on the bike. We're kind of a remote area, not a whole lot of places to stop and do anything, so. But yeah, so this was a nice respite to, get some food and a little bit of a hike and off the bike for a while because my rear end's getting sore. Catch you later.